Nairobi Funeral Home receives between 20 to 34 bodies of suicidal cases on weekends. I have thought about committing suicide at some point. Not that I did it. It was just something that I thought of. A lot of people always contemplate it, especially when times are really hard and you feel like you're the only one that is going through what you're going through. But I feel like if a lot more people are loud about how bad they feel, and especially the people that you think have made it in life, if they're loud about the fact that they're depressed, that they go through moments of self-doubt, they go through moments of self-sabotage, they don't know or they don't understand their identity, it will make people that are trying to get to where they are feel a lot more okay. Hello, tribers. Welcome to the podcast where we magnify the process and impact of the youth in the world using their own stories. I am the homegirl, also known as Liz Awino, and thank you for joining me, or rather us, for another episode. If you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you found us. However it is you found us, I am glad you're here. And if you're a returning tribe member or listener, what's up? How are you doing? Hey guys, I'm so happy to be here. I'm not gonna lie because it's been a really long time. And as much as I've not recorded in a really long time, I'm genuinely happy to be here. So I thought before I start, yapping and going on about what the podcast is about and who I want to feature and all of that stuff, it would be wise to get into what the ITRAB is about, and then we can kickstart that. This is like an interlude. Is it an interlude? I think it's an interlude where I basically talk about the ITRAB's mission and the vision. For those who do not know, the IT tribe is not the IT tribe. The IT tribe is the IT tribe. It is the Identity Transformation Tribe. I came up with that name a couple of years ago. Yeah, so I'm going to go through a couple of questions that can help you have an idea of what we do here and what we are on about, especially if this is your first time listening to the podcast. Why did I start the IT tribe, and what problem is it trying to solve for young Africans? The main reason why I started this podcast was because I felt like for a lot of the things that we navigate as young adults, most people that you have to listen to are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. And you don't find a lot of young voices that basically speak the same language. I'm not saying you shouldn't listen to people that are, wiser and older, because I think you should, because they have a lot more experience. So they have gone through what we're going through and they kind of have something to offer in terms of advice. But then when I think of the fact that the world has absolutely changed from the time where my dad was growing up to now, where we could sit and have a conversation about something, but then both of us are looking at it from a different perspective with a different understanding of what the world is quite interesting. And like a simple example would be like the job market. What used to happen when my dad was growing up, or when my dad was actually in this age, is so different from what's happening right now. And I think it has to reflect also in the conversations that people have. And that's why I usually say I want to move household conversations to magnify them into something that is easily accessible to everyone. Because there are people that have great mentors and there are people that have achieved what you want to achieve. But then because, how do I say it, they're celebrities or they're influencers or they just people that you see, you find that, or you feel like it's very difficult for you to reach out to them. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get all of those voices in one platform, and you can listen to them and you can get what you need to get from them. So ideally it is giving the youth a platform for them to talk about how they're going about the process and what exactly they've done to get themselves where they are and how they're working to get to where they want to get to. So that's kind of where, the mission for the IT tribe on a day-to-day basis. And I hope I answered that, and I hope you feel like that is something that can work for us. The next question is, what kind of conversations do I want this platform to spark? Honestly, I want people to be able to own their stories, number one. Two, not be ashamed of who they are as a person, what they do, and all of that stuff. Number three, to be a generation that lives for a purpose and does not wait to get to a certain age to change their lives. And I say that because you've heard this so many times. Your 20s are for enjoyment, your 20s are for this, your 20s are for that. When people talk about their 20s, you think they are talking about Vegas. Like, it's the age where you're supposed to live and be free. You should be, like, there should be freedom. You should experience everything you need to experience. And I get that. I'm kind of in the school of thought that you should enjoy your life. But I think the narrative that has been put out there and the narrative that has been pushed down our throats, and I want to say narrative simply because media forms a really large part of how you consume this life and how you go about your life. And a huge part of what the media has done is to send the wrong message to young adults. And it's even worse in Africa simply because we don't say anything. Most of how we live our lives in Africa is based off of the American dream. And I'd like to point it back to you that these guys start their independence when they're 16. We start at 18. And if you live in an African household, you're not an adult until you start making money and you live on your own. So that is an equivalent of 27 at this point, because not everyone affords living outside of their parents' house. People work and still live with their parents. So it means that you're still not an adult. You see, like, these are the things that I'm saying. So I think the conversations I want people to have outside of a tribe is, what does it mean to be an African? What does it mean to be a young adult? What is the African dream? What is the American dream? What does it mean for me to be in the LGBTQI community? How do I exist in the world in that community? What does it mean for me to, love God and fearlessly love God and follow everything that God says? What does it mean to be a feminist? I want people to think about these questions and answer them according to their own narrative, according to what their truth is, according to what they want to reflect in the environment per se. Because I think the 20s are for redefining everything that you know. And I was having this conversation with someone recently where I said the 20s are for you to reconcile what you've learned and understand if that is what serves you and what doesn't serve you, and knowing exactly how to also coexist in the world and having capacity to grow at the same time. So it's a very murky, like it's so murky. It is not as cute as people make it look like. It should not be cute. And I think that's one of the things I want this platform to show people, is that this is not cute. It was never meant to be cute. It, like, in no way are your 20s supposed to be a comfortable position. And if it is comfortable, you're doing the wrong thing. And that is just whatever it is. It's just it. If you're comfortable in your 20s, you're doing the wrong thing. That's just it. I'm of that school of thought. Also, if you're not ambitious, that's also okay. Because there's some people that live with no ambition. I wonder how you do that. But then if you're not ambitious, then maybe you could be comfortable. And if that is where you are, I applaud you. I genuinely do, because I want to get to that state of free will. Yeah, how is the A-Tribe different from other youth-focused platforms? Most of the content I consume are for entertainment purposes, I'm not going to lie. But one of the things I was really trying to think about when I was in the conception of this podcast and the platform in itself, simply because you come to realize maybe 5 years, or no, actually 5 years is a long time. 2 years from now, you come to realize that actually the A-Tribe is not just a podcast. The first way for you to interact with it will be a podcast, but the reason why it's not called the A-Tribe podcast in the actual name is because it's not just a podcast. So I want people to feel like they have a platform that makes them feel seen, makes them feel heard, and a place where you can have like-minded people from different communities. Some of the podcasts I've done are with some people from different countries. I've had an artist, I've had a tech bro, I've had just different people that show you that we are different and it's okay. You just need to pick the person that, resonates with you, and, you can reach out to them after listening to the podcast, simply because I usually add their details in the description. This podcast is different from other podcasts simply because this is a platform to help you see that it's okay to not be okay. And I just want you to feel like every time you listen to the episodes, you feel a sense of me too. Like, you know what? I'm not insane for feeling how I feel. I'm not insane, or I'm not reaching, or it's not that. I hate the it's not that deep comment. I'm not going to get into it now. But yeah, this is the podcast where everything is very deep. That is, well, actually, yeah. The question is, how is the It Tribe different from other youth-focused platforms? The answer is, everything is deep. Yes, it is that deep. It is very much deep. It is extremely deep. That's it. Yes, yes. If you want to say, oh, it's not, yes, it's that deep. That's it. When people ask you, what do you guys think about the It Tribe? That's what you guys should see. It's deep. It's deep like mad. But yeah, the last question on this segment is, what impact do I hope listeners walk away with after each episode? That you're enough where you are now. You're doing your best where you are now. You may not, I don't know, I'm not saying this from a point of being complacent. I just feel like sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves to get things done and for us to see results in real time. But then one thing I've realized also is when I was coming up with this podcast, it took me 2 years to actually think of what this thing would look like. It took me 3 years to actually develop it and launch it. So obviously now it's another like 2 more years that I've not consistently done what I'm supposed to do. But at the same time, it's just everything I learn, every person I meet up with continuously reminds me of the fact that this is something that's necessary and this is something that should be done. So you're enough. If you're doing, emphasis on if you're doing the work. Okay, this is for if you're doing the work and if you have plans. Because like I said, honestly, if you're not planning on being anything in this life, that podcast is identity transformation. So maybe you should stick to entertainment podcasts. But yeah, if you're actually doing the work, you're enough. You're doing enough. Even if it may seem like you're not doing enough, I promise you're doing enough. Because in the world that we live in, with everything that is happening at the same time, there's so much that is happening that influences you, whether directly or indirectly. So have hope and pray to God and believe that everything you do will actually work in your favor. Let it all work out. That's exactly it. How can we collectively build a generation of self-aware, resilient, empowered young Africans? By listening to the It Tribe, by supporting the It Tribe, by following the It Tribe, period. Next segment, that is how I have finished that part. Leadership and purpose. What does leadership look like for young Africans today? What does that look like? It looks gentle. One of the things I've learned about leadership is leaders are actually people that believe in something so much that it doesn't, like, you don't have to convince anyone to do something that you want them to do. And I say that simply because I follow a girl called Vika Tivun. And she is so, I think for me, I see her as a leader especially in my line of work, simply because she has a gentle way of going about convincing you that this is something you should pay attention to. Her life is so like whole and well-rounded in that she doesn't consistently show you that she is part of, the UN and all of that stuff. Obviously, when she posts her life, that is her life. But then there's a way that she goes about it in a way that doesn't make you envious of her and doesn't make you want to covet her life and want her life, but then you can desire something for yourself out of what she has experienced. So I think leadership is that. Being so educated and so engaged and involved in what you do that people actually are motivated to want something for themselves. That is what I think leadership is. What is my purpose right now and how is it evolving? My purpose is to be the light for other people. And I don't say that very lightly, simply because it's not an easy thing. But then I do believe that my purpose is to be the light for people, to make people happy, not happy, to make people believe a little bit more in themselves, to show people that actually you're who you think you are, you know? Because not a lot of people do that. Funny enough, I realized that people don't know how to affirm other people, and it sucks. Because what do you mean you don't know how to tell someone you look good or your dress is good? Like, people can't just tell you look nice on TikTok. Someone has to scroll until 300 times, like 300x, to find something wrong in your picture, and it's so disturbing. Yeah, so I feel like people need to be a lot more, I hope by listening to this podcast, you'll be a lot more confident in yourself, that you don't have to shun someone, or you don't have to, make someone feel bad about themselves for you to feel good about yourself. That's the whole essence of identity transformation. That the world is big enough to accommodate your dream. The world is big enough to accommodate who you are. And you don't have to be envious or feel bad, for yourself, or be a victim of whatever it is you have experienced. You just have to grow and blossom. And life will open up for you. It always does. I promise you. Next to last question, what values guide my decisions and shape how I show up in the world? Everything I do, and I say everything, I usually think of who I was before. A lot of my decisions stem from what did I experience before, especially when it comes to the tribe. Because this platform was created because I believe that everyone goes through the same thing. It just looks different. And because we go through the same thing, we feel like we are isolated in terms of experiences. We feel like our experiences are so unique that now we want to hide and not speak about them or not express them. And even when we do, we don't say it in a serious way that I'm actually depressed, or I'm actually going through this, I'm actually going through anxiety. We feel like a lot of the things we experience are so unique. It's my problem. It's me who's going through this. I feel so bad for myself. All of that stuff. My biggest thing about this is, if we can talk about the experiences that we have a lot more, people may feel like they belong a lot more in the world because of that. And I say that because, let me read something for you guys that I actually took a screenshot of, because I thought this was so bad. My friend posted, this was from NTV Kenya. Nairobi morgue records surge in youth suicide cases. According to Nairobi County Chief Executive Officer in charge of health, Tom Nyakaba, Nairobi Funeral Home receives between 20 to 34 bodies of suicidal cases on weekends. And I say that because I have thought about committing suicide at some point. Not that I did it. It was just something that I thought of, because a lot of people always contemplate it, especially when times are really hard and you feel like you're the only one that is going through what you're going through. But I feel like if a lot more people are loud about how bad they feel, and especially the people that you think have made it in life, if they're loud about the fact that they're depressed, that they go through moments of self-doubt, they go through moments of self-sabotage, they don't know or they don't understand their identity, it will make people that are trying to get to where they are feel a lot more okay in the process, okay in the aspirations, okay in wanting to be better. That you humanize people, you humanize celebrities and influencers and all of that stuff. I feel like I drifted from my question. But yeah, what values guide my decisions and shape how I show up in the world is that the values that guide me is authenticity, integrity, and intentionality. If all of those three are consistent in everything that I do, you guys will get the best of what is supposed to come out of this, the tribe. Yeah. Last question, how do we cultivate impact in everyday life even before we have a title or platform? Understand self. Everything stems from not running away from who you are and accepting where you come from, accepting the experience you've had, whether good or bad. You don't have to change it. You just have to accept it. And that is something so transformative. Like I said, identity transformation. A lot of people go to therapy to change things. I would want to go to therapy to accept things, because I've come to realize that, unfortunately, as much as you may go to therapy, therapy is actually not meant for you to fix things. Therapy is for you to identify and point out different things at different times, and to know that, why do I talk to this person? Why does this person make me happy? Why does my trauma come up here? Why is it that when this person says this, I react like this, but when this person says this, I react like that? That is what I think therapy, or what people should think of when they think of therapy, is for. But if you don't have money for therapy like me, I will not shy away from saying that. If you don't have money for therapy like me, the A-Tribe is a place for you to identify the different goals that you have, or to start to aspire to be something, or to start to grow into someone that you're proud of. And this is a place for you to also learn how to accept yourself in the different versions and in the different layers that comes with, because in every season you're unlocking someone new. And some seasons you may understand what the hell is happening, and some seasons you may not understand. And that is just part of what life is. You live life backwards. Is it forward? Backwards. You live life backwards, where everything is understood in hindsight. Like now, when I was going through what I was going through during 2022, I understand it now. But then in the thick of things, you think I was understanding what the hell was happening. I was not. I was actually not impressed. I never wanted to be going through that. And I think it was just hard. I even almost quit school. I think I talked to my grandma one day, and she was just like, "Oh, no, just try." Because I was really telling her how I really want to leave this alone. Like, I don't think this is working out for me. And she was just like, just try a little bit more. I know it's hard, but then if it's so hard, just, we'll see how to go about it. She was such a darling, bless her heart. But yeah, how do we cultivate impact? You cultivate impact by understanding self. And this is the platform where I will bring you people that do not fully understand themselves, but they understand themselves enough to talk about where they are in real time. And I think I want to say this as early as now. I'm not bringing you people that have it all together, because no one essentially does. I'm just bringing you people that have practiced what they're going to talk about. And that's just all you should expect from this. Actually, yeah, that's all you should expect. Everyone in this podcast is on a learning curve. This is a learning journey. If you ever find them anywhere, if they ever say something that does not rub off well with you, I need you to have the level of maturity to remember that everyone is learning. And that's why cancel culture is not I don't like it. I do not like it. But then, you know what, guys? That is not why we're here. I think I've done the intro some justice. I think you kind of understand what this is about. And I hope that fundamentally you know what the A-Tribe is about. And if someone asks you why you listen to it, you have a good answer and a decent answer to give. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to the Identity Transformation Tribe, also known as the A-Tribe podcast. If this episode made you want to tune in, to look forward to more episodes, to actually collaborate with us, to come and tell your story, do send me a message, because I do look for people to come and talk in the podcast and share their own stories. And I don't discriminate. I want to tell stories. That is exactly what we're going to do here. So thank you so much for listening to this intro episode. If you want to stay connected with a community that is growing, healing, and leading with intention, make sure to follow the podcast, leave a star rating. I will catch you guys next week with another episode. This chicken has really refused for me to do this outro. So yeah, until next time, be kind to yourself and keep choosing growth. Bye, guys. Damn it.